August 17, 1999. Last night, 3:01 in the morning, a magnitude 7.4 earthquake struck northern Turkey, its epicenter here at the city of Izmit. The shaking lasted 45 seconds. Electricity and communication systems failed immediately, and while the dark streets flooded with people fleeing the collapsing buildings, it has been a slow realization to understand the extent of the damage and severity of the event. This country is earthquake-prone. In the last 100 years, over 30 events of magnitude 7 or greater have been recorded here in Turkey, and in the last 1,500 years, over 12 events resulted in catastrophic death tolls of over 10,000 people. The intense seismicity here stems from complex relationships between 5 tectonic plates. The African, Arabian, Eurasian, Aegean, and Anatolian plates all meet here in Turkey. The North Anatolian fault system occurs at the boundary between the westward-moving Anatolian and southeast-moving Eurasian plates. In this transform fault system, the plates move laterally against each other, building strain. This strain is released in earthquakes, sometimes accompanied by foreshocks, intense shaking, and aftershocks that can occur even months later. This gas station sits across the fault boundary. The pump stations, once aligned, show that the ground here slipped nearly 3 meters to the right. Other regions also show nearly 2 meters of vertical displacement. Unlike most faults, this system shows a consistent geographic pattern of major earthquake events. Earthquakes here have tended to follow a pattern of westward progression. While earthquake prediction is not possible, this pattern allowed scientists to forecast this earthquake over 2 years ago. Yet despite Turkey's experience with earthquake and the warnings of disaster westward along the fault, poor planning and lack of enforcement of existing codes have left residents in chaos. Soon after the earthquake struck, the Big Tupras oil refinery caught fire. Explosions appear to have ceased, but flames still fill the sky, and workers are trying to contain the fire and the toxic waste now leaking from the site. The smoke is thick in the air, causing breathing difficulties for those in the area. Coastal areas have been flooded by a tsunami triggered by the quake, and several port areas have been completely destroyed. Damage is being reported as far away as Istanbul, but in many ways, most dramatic is the devastation of city streets in Izmit, Marmara, and Golcek. Here, with hundreds of thousands of buildings toppled, an uncountable number of people are trapped in the rubble, and while families, volunteers, and rescue crews will be working day and night, so far success has been limited. Thousands of people are missing, injured, or unidentified, and the death count is climbing near 30,000. With buildings demolished or too unsafe to return to, over 500,000 people are now homeless. Looking through the streets, it is clear that newer buildings are most often damaged or utterly destroyed. Despite modern building codes that include stipulations about reinforcement in areas of earthquake risk, rapid development here in Turkey has been under-supervised. Many contractors have used cheap materials and shoddy construction techniques. Some residents discuss the politics that have led to this situation, but most often they simply show me concrete columns reduced to powder from the high content of cheap sands. At another site, a building engineer points out a 5-story building with 2-inch walls and no additional reinforcement. Another building nearby reveals the large amounts of water and mud that accumulated under an improperly constructed foundation. Residents are angry with the lack of oversight of the conditions that allowed the situation to evolve and the damage it has caused in their lives. Coordination of relief efforts has been haphazard, and many are concerned about secondary effects, including lack of clean water and spread of disease. While the government will likely provide some form of aid and compensation, people feel unable to trust that sufficient aid will ever come. In the meantime, they are helping each other find food, shelter, and comfort. But with the city in ruins and the trauma of the event so intense, many now will wish to leave the area for good.